let's get started. Demo first of authentication and authorization in Blazor WebAssembly along with .NET Core Web API. So here I'll just create one blog management system here, right? And if you see, if it is without login over here, I have not logged in, right? So once you're not logged in, so user only can see only just blogs informations, like whatever blogs in our applications, they are able to see only this application. But here once you just click that view, they are also able to see the views of details of that blocks. That is perfectly fine. But when you go back over here, and if they want to try to create add a new block, so now see, it is not allowed. This user actually, not anonymous user or without logged in user, not authenticate of that, not authorize actually that page to add new blocks, right? So this is one. Now second things also we have that if you they want to try to edit, so again, if they want to try to edit, so they are not able to edit because only admin user can allow, right? So once you go to the delete one, now see, it is giving that one confirmation dialog box, but here it is missing that delete confirmation options, right? It is only allowed to only just click the no, but yeah, there is a no option to user can delete also, right? So this is the way actually we will implement over here. Like we will create a now block management system in this here. If it is not logged in, so they are not able to do any card operations, right? Only just they can view. And once you log in, let me try to log in admin user, for example this, and this is my password. So once I logged in, now see, once I logged in, now I will able to see many of that icons as well, like for that many features as well, like admin feature also I am able to see because I logged in with this logged admin user. So once I click that admin, they are able to see, manage the user, adding the roles and etc. And also once you click that add blogs, so if I click that blog list, now if they click to add, now they are able to add new blog. For example, this is a blog management system, right? And description also would be whatever descriptions. Let me create. So see, whatever new new blog they have to create it, they are able to easily create it. And also if you they trying to want to update, suppose if it click and they want to trying to update, okay, I miss spelling something or something, blog management system to be the authentication and authorization, right? Authentication and authorization, and same things if I trying to do update and over here, once you update, now see, it is update properly. And they, if you want to, they want to delete, suppose for example I want to delete this guy, so once I delete, now it is allowed to give that options like, okay, user can able to delete. So once I click the delete, it should be deleted. Now this is a complete management system will be create over here. And this is one. And another things also, see, I just implement this menu over here, menu with sub menu. So once you click that one menu of that blog menu, so it is open. And once you click that admin menu, it is open, but that blog menu will be collapsed, like. So this also functionality will be achieved in this session, right? So before start implementation, I especially recommend go to my channel, which is .NET Real World Example, and here go to that this authentication and authorization playlist, right? Where actually I just complete on all the session, like, okay, how we can create a API, how we can integrate with this API to Blazor, and then user registration form, user management system, and everything. Because this session also dependent on all those session, right? So that's why I'm especially recommend go to that. And you can just watch out those session, like for example here as well, if you want to see one by one, so you can just watch out those session, right? So let's get start implementation. So I will take a same example which I already taken in the last session, right? I put in my GitHub links channel, so GitHub link. So I'll just open this guy. Now this is my solution. Here we have a two project. We have one project for that our uh, web assembly for the web applications, and second one is web API, which is a backend process, right? So what I need to do first, first actually I have just create API. I have to expose some API, like because we are trying to implement that blog system, right? So then blog management system, we have to record them API, like get get blogs, all the blogs get by the blogs ID and all. So for that, what I can do, go to that service, and here I will just create a new service first. And here let me create a new service like blog service as an interface. So let me create a name iBlog service over here, and here inside that I have to expose few method which I can just create our endpoint, right? So for example, I required get all blocks, get blocks by the ID, create a new blocks, update blocks, and delete blocks. So this actually service we will implement here in our API first, and then expose in our API, and then we have to coordinate with our Blazor application. Now go to that concrete class implementation, create a class, and here I'll just create a name as a block service. Let me create that block service, and here I will just simply inherit that guy, and will start to implementation all that method over here. Now we are good to go to start our implementation. So now what I will do, I will take this two as a first, because I will implement as a process, right? So first I will implement that get all blocks and this guy, so that's why I keep it on the top. And then let's simply, I have to create that constructor. We have to actually inject our db context uh, class over here, right? So what I can do, where is my db context things, actually we just created from the starting of this session, right? So this is my idb context object, right? So that class actually I have to just you know inject it over here, and then create a new variable and bring back that this guy, right? And so now we have to bring back that namespace and just assign to inside this constructor, and we are ready to go to use this context, right? So that is one things is done. Now let me start for this get all blocks, right? So let me remove this guy, and here what I can do, I have to just uh, call that now blocks, right? So here that identity, and then identity context object, we have that blocks db set, and that return to list, right? And simply return, and it is a async method, so we have to make to async and with the await, right? That's it. Then save it. This is done. Now second things, actually I'm not going to details, because see we have do many things actually for this creating this service, right? So in our many old session, so that's why I'm not going to do that, because this is a simple concept of db entity framework, which we can create our db context, and we can easily get their data from the db set. So that I'm not going to do again. So what I can do, simply I will just implementation over here, focus on that. So let me create for that here again. Simply what I can do, simply async and then await, and then call that block db set, and then filter on that and return back to here. And then simply for third one, we have to just implement create blocks, right? So here again, just simply create a create method. So what I can do, again I have to use this add method, add async method, and pass it to our object block object, and save changes and return back to the blocks. That is also done. Now moving forward to the next one, that is a delete one. So let me quickly implement this guy also. This is also same, like first we have to get that okay, this block is exist or not. If it is not exist, so then simply we are not doing to anything, but yeah, we have exist, so that time we have to trying to remove and return back to the data. That is fine, that is also done. Now finally we have to do for that updation as well. So let me complete that updation one. So this is also it's same, similar to delete one. First we have to check okay, this id is exist or not, because if it is exist, so then we have to trying to update whatever our entity, and then we have to save change and return back to the data. So now our service has been implemented, right? So what I can do now, second step is, once a service is implemented, I have to go to that our controller in our API project, and here I have to just create a new controller that is called uh, block controller, right? So let me create a block controller, and here what I can do, I have to expose first of all I just inject our service over here. So create a constructor of that controller. So create a constructor, right? And what is our service? My service name is I blog service, and injected over here and assigned to our constructor so that I can use it. Now it is assigning, right? And then what I can do, I have to just create a endpoints. So here I have to just expose my first endpoint, that is uh, get alls block, right? So let me create that guy, and then here I have to just create a method of that controller here, get all method, right? Inside this get all method, what I will do, simply I have to just call this guy blocks service dot get all methods, and not wait. This is simply I have to just put over here await because it's a asynchronous method, so I have to decorate like that. And then simply I have to just store as a response over here, and then simply return to that here, like that. So it is simple. I'm not doing any logic and all, but yeah, this is a simply we can expose our endpoint. So this is one endpoint, but here one thing actually I have to do that. So this endpoint get all blocks, only all the users or that without logged in user or anonymous user can allow. So that's why I have to just decorate this method, this an endpoint, like using this allow anonymous, right? So that without logged in user or logged in user, everyone can get this data, right? Because there is no harm to get that all that information of that blocks, right? So that's why I just created. And then second one, I have to just create it for that get by id. So that also let me create it over here, and this time we have to record one passing that id, that is a blog id. And here I have to just create that implement that method, right? Simply again I action result get by id, passing that id, and call that block service get by id method, this is a service, right? And return back and return to, right? So like that also we can implement our next endpoint. Also this is allow anonymous, because whatever now get by id means that whatever blocks details we can get it over here. So this is fine, this is just a read things, right? So that's why I just expose as a allow anonymous. Now we have to do something for create a new blocks, right? So here what I will do, I have to just create authorize as a attribute as authorize, and allow to roles only just admin, only admin roles can do this, you know these operations, like post operations means like create a new blocks, right? So that's why I just set it as a attribute as a admin role, right? And just create a this endpoint, and using that create and passing that blocks, whatever blocks we are sending, and then create it and get back to the user. So this is also done for create endpoint. And now moving forward to that update one. So let me create for update one also. So update also we have to decorate this admin role, and passing this id as a route parameter. And also from body parameter we have to expose, we have to pass it over here as a block object, and which we have trying to update. So also here let me call it to that our service, and just checking if it is uh, exist or not, right? If it is exist means whatever they return the response. So if it is exist, so then we have to bad request, not exist, so bad request. If it is exist, so that means it is perfectly fine. So it is just a return logic what we are trying to returning over here. Simply I just returning if it is successfully done updated, so we no content over here. So like that. And then finally we have to implement that delete one. So this is my delete one, right? Again we have to set for delete endpoint as a role administrator, right? And then again we have to check, okay, it is deleted or not. If it is not deleted, that means it is a bad request. If it is deleted, then it is a 204. So like that actually we can just create our endpoints. So these are endpoints we have to done. And one more thing actually we have to do, actually we have to just create a new service over here, right? And also we have to inject it in our controller, so that we have to register. So go to your solution, and here is that project, like our API project. Go to that program.cs file. Here we have to just register on that service. So here I have to just builder.service dot add scope, and here I just added that blog service, and then my implementation is blog service. That's it. So this is done. Now we can actually check it, right? Our service endpoint is working or not. Let's check it. So let me run only API this time. Now our API is running, and you are able to see in a Swagger this block section, right? So this is my all that endpoints we have just exposed. So all that over here. So once I just create, or once I just get that all blocks, like for example execute. Now see, we have that all the data, because I just using same DB, right? Whatever I show we have to use in our demo. So that's why it is returning all the data. But yeah, if you're trying to first time with your new DB, so that time it will be empty. So that is fine. This is that DB's perspective. That is fine. So yeah, we have the DB without login and all. I can get the data, and then also we have to trying to data for that get by ID. So let me try to using that way also. So passing that blog ID 1, and also I'm getting that this data. So that is also expected, right? So one thing I will show you over here. Let me create a new block, right? So this one, see, it is also clearly saying it is authorization attribute over there, right? So that's why it is logged. So if I trying to execute this guy, for example, let me execute. So it will giving that 401, because without at the token and authentications, you are not able to create the new blocks. So how we can do that? Simply you have to just logged in first. So let me logged in. We have that API also, logged in API, login API. So here let me set is the cookies authentication. We can use that both. If you're not using the cookies, so it will just create a token as well. So both actually I just explain. I'm not going to again over here. You can check out my old session. And here what is my email? So my email for that admin, this guy, and then password would be uh, this guy, right? And then let me logged in. So once you logged in, you're able to see 200 over here response. That means it is logged in and stored the cookies in this browser. And now we are good to go to use our all that authentication, authenticate, authorize and authentication API, right? So what I can do, simply just adding something, for example uh, Angular 17, right? And then description over also Angular, and then execute. Once I execute, I am able to see the new data is created with 201, right? And then also I can able to check over here on this endpoint. I'm to get this data, the newly data, right? So similar, I can just update also. Let me check this is update or not, updating is also working or not. So what is my ID of that? ID number 10. So let me add over here as ID 10, and then here let me pass is 10, and just change it to something, for example Angular 17 to Angular 18, and then here also Angular updated description, right? And then when I execute, I'm getting 204. That means it is success. And then also just make sure it is updated perfectly or not. Now see, it is correctly updated, right? Whatever data we have added. And if I want to delete, so let me try to delete as well. So here the delete endpoint. Again, what I can do, whatever our ID of the delete, so execute. Now it is 204. Let me check one more time, data exists or not. So that should be delete. Now see, only returning this time 3 data. So that last one also has been deleted. So that is fine. Our API endpoints which we have just created for this blog management system, so that is working fine. So this is first step you have to complete in our API side. So once it's done, now it is closed, now it should be closed, and then go to your uh, web application project, which is a Blazor web assembly, right? So go to that web application project. Here actually whatever API actually we have to create it, right? So that we have to trying to consume over here. So there's a way actually we have already done. If we have to create actually this custom authentication state provider, so there actually I just created all that, method like the login or whatever API actually we have to try to consume, we have to do over here. Similar thing we have to do over here, but yeah, it is a better way. Like if it is because this is a related to authentication thing, so that's why I just created, over here, right? But yeah, if we something else, like for example it is a separate service, right? So it is a blog related thing. So what I can do, I can just create a new service over here. Let me create a new service over here. For example, it is a blogs, right? So again just create over here a blog service, and this new service also just simply we have to just returning whatever method actually, whatever actually service that returning and request whatever things we have to just expose over here. So for example like that, see, just I have to just create again, just get all method which will actually consume our API and return back to that got all blocks, get by the ID, create a sync, and then update and then delete. Similar actually just we have to create a method and we have to connect actually over the HTTP client our API and then return back to the data. So here what I will do, whatever the data actually they're returning, we have to just manipulate and return back to our view model, right? So this view model we have to just create it, go to that model here and create a new view model. And in this view model what we trying to return, we simply whatever data actually we want to return over here, we can just create a some property like that. Actually we have to just create it. As of now it's just simple model, but yeah, you can just create a complex one also. So now it's done, and let me bring that namespace. So now also bring the namespace, it is perfectly fine. And now just create another concrete class over here in this service folder, create a new concrete class, and that is called, service, block service, right? So let me create that guy as a name. For example, block service, create that guy and inherit that block service and implement those method over here, right? So like that. So here what I can do again, I will just use these two method like get alls and all the read operations. We'll keep it on first and then we'll doing that, all that manipulation, data manipulation operation. So here first what I have to do, let me create a constructor and we have to inject it our HTTP client, because we using that HTTP client I have to connect our API and return back to the data. So I already done in this, custom state provider, right? So similar things you can do that. So let me copy from here so that you can just understand actually what we are trying to do over here. So here I'll just using this guy, let me copy this guy and simply pass it to over here, and you can just change this constructor to our constructor. That's it, right? This is the way. And then also we have to initialize this guy. So where is that my HTTP client? Copy this guy and then use it over here. Now see, we are successfully injected our HTTP client in this service, and now we are good to go to using this client factory, HTTP client factory. And if you see this client factory, we are actually we mention, if you go to that our program.cs file, here we have to mention over here, which will actually use that base URL as a backend base URL, this guy, and whatever your endpoint you can just add it over here in this in this uh, in this method, and then you can get that the data and manipulate the data. And one more thing actually we have to do over here, serialization part, so that also we have to just declare so that we can do in further. So let me create that, JSON serialization using that camel case ignoring and part, right? So this setting also be required. So let me create this guy also. So this is done. Now we have to start the implementation of that guy get all method, right? So first, so simply what I can do here, as as I have done many times. So let me show you one more time. So there is a way, yeah, using that HTTP client, right? And then there's a method of HTTP client get from the JSON, right? So there is a new method actually they introduce, which will allow directly whatever your return type, right? So this is my return type. So they will get that as a JSON data, and they will actually deserialize on this model, and they will return back to you. So we don't need to actually get the data, then stream the data, and then read the data and convert to and deserialize. So everything is actually they maintain on this method, say this HTTP client. So that is a nice method, right? So that I can use it. And also my endpoint name is API and then blogs. This is my API endpoint name. So if you want to see, I can show you. This is the method. If you check, see, this is API and then blocks, right? And further, whatever our main base URL. So this is my API things. So that we have to mention over here, and then store as a blogs over here. Let me store as a blogs, and we have to use it. It is a asynchronous method, so I will use decorate that await on async, and then simply we have to return to that blocks, right? So like that we can just implement using the HTTP client, right? So that is done. So now moving forward to that, get uh, get get blocks by ID also. So this is also like that we can use it simply using that async await and using that method, and pass it to that our API endpoint and return back to over here. And then we will implement, and the third one is a create, right? So this is slightly different we have to do over here. So what I will do first, I'll just create, you know I'll just call another method which is post as a sync, and let me decorate first. So I will use that as a HTTP client, the post async, and then passes that whatever model I want to pass, right? So this model I want to pass, and this model actually we have to just use as a request body, right? So I just pass it over here, and then what is the next I just have to read the data, right? Whatever we are getting over here, so I'm just trying to read over here. So I'm getting that reading over here, right? So this is read whatever actually this client HTTP client response HTTP response message returning. So I'm getting that data as a read async, and then what I can do, simply I can deserialize, right? So because this is a post method is don't have a such kind of things which we have already done, right? So like that actually we can use it over here, and this is done. Like, okay, the deserialize whatever options, whatever response on that method, and then using over here and return back to over here. So this is a simple, right? We already done in our old session, so I'm not going to details. And then further we have to implement the delete one. So delete also is pretty much simple. I just have to call that delete method, right, of the HTTP client, and they will returning the result. Okay, it is success on fail. So once delete done, now we have to moving to next one, which is update, right? So let me quickly complete that update one. That update one also we have to do slightly different approach over here, right? So this is that another approach we already done actually, but yeah, I'll just explain again. So I just have to just create content using that this option string content, and the passing that whatever data. So we have to serialize over here and using this format, and then we have to using that put method and passing your string content and API URL, and then it will returning to success and fail. So like that also you can just consume your API for that update one. So almost all that, yeah, all that endpoint has been, all that endpoint actually consumed over here in this service. Now we are good to go to use that service, right? So what I can do in the next step, we have to create our pages, right? Because we have to service, now we can use. So what I can do, go to that pages here. I will just create our model, our new folder here, which is blogs, right? So let me create a blog folder, and here I will just create a new component, which is blog list, right? So let me call as a name blog list, right? And it is that a component, and this component we have to implement it over here, right? So what we can do first, we have to do many things over here. Actually, this is a it is a big component, right? So first, actually, we have to inject our service, right? So where which is our service? Our service is our this guy, right? Blog service. Let me inject first this service, and then also I have to inject another service. This is called navigation manager, because we have to navigate one page to another one, so that's why I have to use this guy. And before that, actually, first let me decorate this guy, this component. So what would be the component route over here? This could be a blog. Inside the blog, and we can edit a blogs, right? So this is a that's a routing concept, right? So you can just use this as a routing over here, because I have to call as a using this route. So this is done, right? And now we have to implement something over here. First, I have to just add one button, right? So that is a add button. If you see, it is closed, I guess. Yeah, that is closed. But yeah, if you see the demo, so there actually there is a one grid and then that button, right? So add button. So we can uh, successfully just created a new blocks for this add button. So that button. But yeah, first let me just actually create that grid where actually we binded our data. So one by one we have to do that. So what I can do, I will just use one grid, right? Quick grid. So let me create a quick grid template over here. So this is my quick grid, right? And let me just formatting to that. So now see, this is just a quick grid. I just create a div inside the edge of just a quick grid, and let me bring that namespace of that quick grid. We have already installed this package in last session, so I'm not going to again to install. But yeah, this is a simply quick grid. We have to record that data items, whatever items, that we will get it over here little bit later. But yeah, this is just columns. Whatever columns we record, we can specify. And then this is a template column where we can specify our buttons, like whatever actions actually we want to perform, like edit, delete, and views, right? So these are things actually we have to just edit as a style in the quick grid. So now moving start to implement of that, the data we are actually have to get the data. So in this data, first let me create one property of that blocks, right? So these blocks actually we have to return as a iQueryable format, because this quick grid expecting actually iQueryable. So that's why I'll just create iQueryable. And further, I have to just create that load methods, load blocks method, so that you know I can just get it whatever data, right? So see, I just created a load block method here. Simply whatever our service, like this service block service, I just consume that service and then get it the data and store over here, and then also just converting as a as queryable and assign to this guy, right? And once you assign this guy, it will get it from here. And then finally I using that state has changed. Suppose it should be changed, might be sometime get the data, but it is keeping over here, but we required actually change the state. So that's why I'm using this guy. So and also one more thing actually we have to do over here, we have to do some streaming over here. So let me adding that streaming, so that if it is taking some time, so it will some wait and just loading the data, right? So like that actually we have using the streaming. So now we are good to create actually this method. And this method we have to call on initialize actually the lifecycle hook method. So let me create that one, overload on initialize method over here. And in this on initialize method, we have to simply call that that method, right? So this method load async, and then also it is a synchronize. So let me create a synchronize. So it is good, and simply return, remove that return. So now see, first time your component will load, what will happen? it will call this guy, and this guy what will do, it will get the data and assign and the change the state, and simply we are good to go to bind this quick grid. So like this way actually we can bind the quick grid. And simply as of now I'll show you as a just comment of this section, right, so that I can show you all that the data whatever we're trying to get it, that is properly binded or not, so that it should be digest actually, because this is a big concept. We to complete that insert update delete everything, so we'll do one by one all that operations, right? So first operation will get the data and bind this in this quick grid. So what I can do, uh, before that actually we have to do one thing, actually we have to create a new service, right? So this service also we have to register in our WebAssembly web project. So go to that program.cs file, and here we have to just services dot add scope, right? And in this add scope I'll just create iBlock service and then implement their implementation also. So this is also done. Now we are good to go to run this application and see. Right click on the solution, we have to create that we have to run actually both solution one project together. So that's why I'm using that multiple project, apply okay, and run this application. Our application is running, right? And here only just there is a no section over here, because only admin can access all other section which we have decorated actually. So now what I can do, simply I can just pass it over here blog, right? Because we have to decorate routing, set the routing over there, that component, right? The blogs and then blogs. And then when I hit enter, it should be rendering, right? So see, it is rendering perfectly, right? There is a no issue. Whatever data we are getting, they are getting from that API and bind it over here perfectly. There is a no issue. If I want to show you as a network tab, so let me rerun again, or refresh. So if you see network, so all others API which is authentication, that is failed, but that is fine. But yeah, this is my blog endpoints, right? If you see, this is my blog endpoint get 200 okay, and also it is returning the data from our API which we are trying to bind over here. So like that actually we can simply use it. But now we have to do further, actually we have to do further implementation, like all the actions, right? And also that admin user can do that all the actions, and without authentication user they can't do anything, right? So there are many things we have to do. So we will cover everything. So what I can do first, let me close. Now we have to decorate our style and all also, like this is a not good style and all, right? So let me close that. And now further let me implement, go to this guy, right? And we have to just set it some style, right? So what is my style? Let me create one style class also. Right click on this component folder, create a new component, and here choose is css, and choose this guy, and whatever your file name, right? So you can just keep it same file name, for example blog list, right? And on razor.css file and created that. If you create it, see if it is same name, so it will go to inside this component. And in this component I have to decorate or set it some style over here. So now see, those are style, actually just edit for that grid look feel better. And also we have to keep some style for that button and all, that is also fine. And one confirmation dialog box actually style also we have to set over here. So that is cool, right? So this is done. And then go to that blog list component. Here we will start further uh, further implementation, right? So what would be my further implementation? So let me create now, let me start for that another action, that is a new blocks, add the new blocks, right? So how we can add that new blocks? So that is, we have to add some style for that, like create a new button for that. So first let me create a new button over here. So this is that new button. I just creating a this style for on the top header it's showing that blog list. And then this is that button, right? Because if you create that add, or just let me adding over here that add blocks, so that it is just meaningful, right? So if user can add on this button, user able to get adding that new blocks, right? So let me create this method as well. So go to down in this code blocks, right? So here we'll create that method. So create a new block. So how we can create that new block? So simply I just created a method which will just go to that, one component, right? So see, this is that create a block I just created as a method. It will just navigate and go to uh, this component. So as of now we don't have as a component, but I'll actually just create a one component which will handle edit and add, both together, right? So that is actually the reusable component which we have to create it, which will handle together everything, right? So what I can do, simply let me create a new component over here, add new component, create a component name over here, and just simply edit. And in this component I have to do first, let me adding over here as a page route on the top, right? In this page route, what we're trying to do, get it over here. See, this is a reusable component. So if is a new blocks will be created, this time they will not taking care also this, parameter, right? And if you're trying to add it, so that time actually they want to taking care this id parameter. So like that actually we will reuse. And also this component actually we have to do decorate as a this guy like authorize, because this is a, manipulation data, right? So only admin user can edit the data, or edit the data or add the data, right? So that's why I have to decorate as a admin user only can do that. And further also we can do similar things which we have done already, right? So we have to injected all the services because we have to manipulate, or we have to using that, edit update functionality over here, or add functionality also over here. So that's why I just using this service, right? And once it's done, now what I can do, I have to just simply decorate over here, like, okay, if it is blog id which is if it is a greater than 0, that means it is update form, or it is a, it is a not equal to 0, so that means it is a create, means it is a new. So as of now we don't have to create it this guy. So let me quickly create this parameter also in this code blocks. So this is done. Now what I can do the further, I have to just, create the edit form, right? So let me create quickly as a edit form which will actually edit all that data, right? Binding on the data over here. So now see, I just create edit form. Here I just create a two div, one for that, name field, and then another one is for the description. And also we are using the bind dot value attribute, so that whatever data is will bind over here, they will automatically bind and update it as well. So what I can do, I have to just create it up some property for that binding variable. So let me create a blog view model over here, and which will trying to bind over here, right? So this is that. And then I have to just create, on parameter, uh, on parameter set method, override method. So let me create that parameter on parameter set method, right? So this is that method actually. So why I'm using this method, because this is another lifecycle hook of this component, right? So because once I get that parameter will get updated, so this time actually will call this method and will update our things and will call our things, right? So what we're trying to do over here, we will to call our whatever logic, we have to implement, right? So let me create a one logic over here again. So create a private method over here, private method, and async, right? And void, it is should be a void method. And we can create a load data, right? So let me create a load block, because this is the uh first time load the data. So we create, get with using that id, actually we have to trying to load the data. So how we can trying to load the data? See, simply if it is add it, right? So see, using that blog id, right, whatever id is a parameter, if it is greater than 0, that means it is a indicate we are trying to add it, right, or update. So in this case, what I will do, simply I call this block service or get by id method and get the data, and we have to assign into that guy, right, block model, which will trying to bind over here. So like that we have to do. And else, if it is else part, right, so if it is a not a edit one, right, so in this case what I will do, simply I will assign this blank model, right, so that it will not giving any compilation error and all, right. Runtime, actually it is avoiding issue for the runtime, because if it is null, so definitely it will hard to bind actually this null model to in this form. So that's why we have to initialize to as a new instance and create instance, right. And then finally I have to just use this guy so that we can change our state, right. So this is done, and then this guy we have to call, over here like that, right. So see, this is done almost. We have covered the implementation, right. So now on the parameter set it will call, and this will manage, actually it is a insert or update, right. So like that actually they will update and update that model, and model will be over here. And finally I have to just create this update call method, right, which will actually taken care that update part, right. So let me create that also, neither it will give that complaint issue, right. So I'll just create this update method over here. And what again we have to check, okay, uh, it is update or it is just newly inserted. So we can identify using that block id, right. So it is updated, right. So it is updated, so I will call that update service. If it is newly created, so I will just create a block create method for the newly, and finally return back to our navigate to our main page. So like that we can implement our this add edit component, right, and go back to your blog list here. Now we are good to use this guy, right. So what I can do, simply again let me check, okay, the newly blog has been created or not, right. So let me edit, or let me run this application. Now API is running and this is also running. Okay, I actually forget to mention our menu over here. So that is actually another concept we'll do, but yeah, let me check it first. Blog, that blogs, now see the looks feels also good over here, and also we are getting this guy. And once I click this guy, but yeah, once I click this guy, definitely you will get unauthorized because I set it as a component is a not authorized, right. So what I can do, simply just logged in that user and with the admin. So let me try to logged in. So now I'm logged in, and now let me call that endpoints or that component block.blogs. Now I'm getting over here add, and now see I'm getting that. Now if it is creating, right, so it is creating, so it would be blank. And then if I pass some data, for example, clean architecture, and then description also as a clean architecture just created. Now it is successfully created a new blocks over here. That is perfectly fine, right, means that add block is also working fine. Now we have to cover that others operations, right. Now we have to cover list, get all blocks as a list, right, and get by id also is covered. And now we have covered also add blocks, new blocks. And now we have to cover like uh, edit and update, right, and then also delete we have to taken care. So now moving go forward to our update one, because I already create that reuse component, right. So for that edit, again you have to go to that blog list, right, and here let me open one by one all that button, right. So this is for this edit, right. So let me open this edit. So let me comment out this other section, right. Okay, so now here I just, okay, let me stop that application first. So I just create edit button, right, and on click edit button, and it will call actually it should be created on over here. Quickly just created that edit one, right. So what I am trying to do, edit also similar, like we have to, and this create, on the create we have to call that edit, but yeah, by default is 0, right. But here in the edit we have to pass that whatever id actually which row actually we're trying to edit, right? So that parameter we have to pass it over here, and once we pass it, so it will go call this component and render this component using whatever id, right? So like that, it's simple again. So it's edit also, it's simple, right? So let me run and see edit is working fine or not. Now I'm getting one error, right? So let me F12 and check it. What is the error? See, is completely saying on the parameter, while setting the parameter, it is, delay. Actually, that edit form required some model, but the model actually not properly getting. So in this case, what I can do, actually, we have to add some check. If you go back to your solution in this web application solution, let me stop that and go to your edit component, and here see, this is edit form, right? So this edit form actually binding this model, but actually while loading this parameter and all, actually it is just first time actually trying to bind, right? So that's why uh, it could be null. So in this case, what I can do, we can set a one check like blog should not be null, then we have to try to bind this form. So this is simple check. We have to check out over here, and let me run and see. Now it's logged in perfectly fine. Now go to that component. Now once I click this guy, now there is a no error, right? And just update to C sharp 12, and also this is a C sharp description, right? So let me add this guy as like that, and once I update, now I just updated our data perfectly, right? So that means updated, edit and update also is working fine. Now moving forward to the next implementation, that is delete, right? So close that application, all the application, and go to that blog list again, and then just open all that component, right? All this operations over here. So we have that, a delete one, and then we have the view contact, right? So view contact will be just comment it over here, right? And save it. We'll just we'll just implement this first one like delete, because it is a little complex things over here. So in the delete, what I have to just create it, I just created a one function, right? So this function, I'm getting that id, right? And this id, what we can do, based on this, we have to trying to do and manipulate actually that model pop-up, right? So there's a many way actually we can open that model pop-up, but yeah, I'll just show you the simplest way. So what I can do first, let me create one HTML actually. So I have to just create one HTML model, right? So let me create over here, right? So this is one HTML model which is just expecting some class. Actually this is a one class, right, which already we have created some style, and then we set okay, it is a confirmation, are you sure want to delete and all, right? And then we have to set see this authorized view, right? So by we have to set this authorized view, this is important. So only authorization means only just authorized user can able to see this yes button, means the delete confirmation button. Others one, they can see only just this one, right? So that's why we have to set authorize. Like this way actually we can use in our application anywhere, like okay, which part only which user want to use, right? So like this way actually I show you one example, but yeah, you can use it uh, like that, right? So see, now this is done. Now what I can do in this model, we have to create this delete contact, also that create cancel contact, right? So this we have to trying to implement. So let me quickly implement first the delete contact, right? So what is the delete context? We'll do, go to down over here in this code blocks, and here I'll just create a one delete contacts method, right? See, this is delete contact. In this delete contact, what I'm trying to do, simply I call this block service and call that method, right? Delete method, and passing the delete id, where I will get the delete id. Delete id will get once I click this show confirmation method, right? So let me create that show confirmation method first for then. So once, before that delete, let me create one more method over here, show confirmation method, right? So this show confirmation method, we have that id, right? So that what we trying to do, we have to just assign as a local variable over here, And then also we have to indicate, okay, your model, right? So this is a model which will can show and hide, which property, right? Which indication it will show and hide, right? So that's why we have to record another property, this show confirmation. So these two property, let me create quickly over here on the top. So go to here, let me create first the deleted id, and also we have to just create it the show confirmation uh, property so that we can indicate it over here. So don't worry, I'll just decorate over here with this property. Was as of now we are good. So these two things also done. Now go to down over here. Now see this one, we have to complete it, right, like this way. And once it's completed, we get this delete id. So now we have to get the delete id, and then finally what I trying to do, I have to just create another method which is a close confirmation model, right? So what we'll do, this close confirmation model, they will always actually try to uh, close that error your model, right? So that's why we, instead of that, this two property again and again every place where we required, so I just create a method, okay, close confirmation. So always it will just, this method will be always the show confirmation dialog box will be false and deleted id will be 0, right? So this way actually once I delete it, what I will do, simply I just close this pop-up model and then set it as 0 so that our model will be closed, right? So like that, and then finally I just load the data, like there is the load data. This is that load method, right? So again, whatever newly data what I have removing, so again we have to bind and just change the stage and load it in our here. So this is done, and then final things, that cancel button, right? So let me quickly create the cancel button. That cancel button also is simple, nothing we have to do, that we have to just close that model, that's it. So what I can do, let me create that method over here, go to down here. So here night cancel. So what I'm trying to do, simply whatever cancel confirmation method, right? So see, this is confirmation method. So in this cancel confirmation method, we set it as a false, that means pop-up should be closed and delete button should be 0. So like that actually we have to. So don't worry about that if it is not clear. I actually just created a my old session where actually I just covered everything actually for details, so you can just check out. So as of now I'm not going to more details, but yeah, this is actually some idea, you can get that idea. So like this way we can create a confirmation model box, and here I can just simply check it is true, then it is pop up, it is false, so it should not a pop up, means that should not a pop up over here, right? So let me decorate as a this guy, and that's it, right? So like that actually we can just decorate. If this show dialog box is not true, only this time will be open, means show up the user. It is false, so it should be not showing on this user, right? This pop-up. So like that, I guess we have to complete that delete operation as well. So let me build it and see in action. So now it's running in a logged in user, so go to that guy, and now we have the delete button also. So once I click delete, now see perfectly there's a no error and all, but yeah, once I click no, there's a no harms, no delete, right? But once you delete, yes, it should be delete and go to the data, means data should be also clean, right? So like that actually the delete also is done. Now one last thing actually, that view, right? So once I click that view, so whatever the data and you want to showing for these blocks, we can show it, right? So let me quickly implement that also. That is the last section. And also, yeah, one more thing actually, not that is the last section. So what I can do here, let me open uh this guy, right? And then we have to implement that view contact, right? So this view contact actually nothing, we have to create another component where I can render all that informations, right? So first let me create a uh, view contact method over here which we can navigate. Like for example here, let me create that view contact which will navigate on this page using that id, right? So let me create over here another component inside this blog. So what would be the name? This could be a blog details and all. Right click on that, go to the treasure component, let me call, and then add it over here. And in this blog details, what I can do, I have to just decorate first in a directory, router, page route, right? So this is the page route. And then again, this is the common things we have to trying to use over here, that is injecting service. So this is our service which will trying to use uh, our requirement, right? So this is done. Now here I'll just create one HTML which will returning, which will set it, okay, this is a details. But yeah, in this here we will just back button also will give it over here, like user if you want to click that back button, so go back to your uh, main page, right? So like that actually we have to set it. And further implementation also will set over here, that is style we are actually render all the data. So for example, I just create over here one if blocks, we will check, okay, whatever edit model, right? I don't have an edit model over here, but yeah, we'll create as of now. So this edit model, if it is not null, it is null, so then there is a no blocks. If it is blocks there, so what I'm trying to do, whatever edit model as a data, we just populate as a design, whatever design you want. So I just create a simply card design. So that's actually just I populated with this default image. But yeah, that also image we can get it from this information, and we can bind it over here. That also I just show, I created actually my old session. So you can just check out my Blazor session where I just use curd operation with this insert update delete operation, right? So that is done. Now start to implementation here. So let me create first like whatever models. So this is my models, right? So create a model over here, and then create a parameter which we are trying to get this parameter, right? So that also we have to set as a parameter. So this is also parameter. And then on initializing, we have to create a lifecycle hook of this component on initialize, and get this block service, and get the data and assign to this guy, right? So this is also done. And then last things actually we have to do over here, that is back button. So this back button go back to our this list, right? So this is done. This is actually also covered, right? And let me run it. So I'll show you like, okay, if it is all the functionalities covered, then we will move to that navigation menu and sub menu part, right? So let me add it over here. And now see, view also is there. So once I click the view, now see, view is there. But yeah, there is a some, as per our expectation, it is a very high. So what I can do, I can just edit some style for the managing over there. So right click on that and create another component on this folder. Go to here, create a new component, and call it to that blog details, right? So this is a blog dot css, and that's it. So now see, I have to just create a razors css razor, and here I have to just adding that style. So what is my style? It is just managing our card and that images, that's it, right? So see, this is simple style. I just edit over this component, and let me run. Now it's logged in successfully, and go to here, click that view, and then simply refresh, because just apply the style, right? Now see, this looks good. And also if I click that back button, go to that main page, right? So now all the implementation has been done, like edit, delete, view, and add blocks, right? So now see here, also we have to do something actually. See all that, there is a menu, but there is a no sub menu, because see we have to just group by, like, okay, one group like admin group can have, see that whatever admin things they want to do, right? Suppose admin want to do like user list and add, or just user management things, like, so whatever user want to do, so they can do inside that user group. So that's why actually we have to just create it a menu, right? So let me implement that menu section now. That is the last things. So what I can do, go to that layout, right, and go to that nav menu, right? And here see, we have to doing something over here, but yeah, we have to do some implementation so that we can handle that menu and sub menu menu concept, like open and close concept, right? Like collapse and expand mechanism, that functionality. So quickly, first what I can do, I have to just create a few property over here and implementation in this code blocks. So let me create one property that is called like show menu, right? So and also I just add it as of now 3, but yeah, if you have that more menus, so you can just increase your property, over here, that length actually you can just edit. And then one toggle function, actually I have to just create it over here. Now see, I have to just create a one toggle function which will expecting actually index, right? And based on the index, what I'm trying to do, uh we trying to find the index, if it is just equal that index, whatever index they passing, so we are actually setting that show menu it's true, other ones all that show menu will be false, right? So that's why actually we have to create this toggle function. And actually I just create a great details video in my last session, so you can take it over here also, how you can set the menu and sub menu and all. So like that actually we can create. And over here, right, in this name menu, we can just decorate over here. So where is that? Okay, so this is that admin menu, right? So these two things should be inside this admin. So see, this is to a link, right? So this is fine, this is our sub menu. So where is our main menu? So our main menu would be our nav menu. I just have to just create another nav menu item over here and just add it over here. Now see, this is our main menu, right? So our main menu would be our admin menu over here. And I just created toggle button, right? And then toggle button also just passing this, it is a one, means this section, actually this is section like, oh, for example, at the rate if, and this section, this is a sub menu, right? So whatever sub menu we property, we have to just create it, right? So if it is equal to 1, right, means whatever index which we are passing, so it is index 1, it is true, so this menu should be visible, either it should be false, right? So like that actually we have to shown our menu over here. And this is one setting. And go to down, where is that? Okay, so see, there's one setting, and inside that we actually decorate something else. So actually some style also we can edit over here. For example, we can sub menu decorate by, again, is a nav class, right? So that also, let me close that guy. And this sub menu, also we have that nav item, right? So let me decorate as a nav item again, or every nav menu. This is for that style perspective, so I'll just create it for that. And this is again for that another one also. Let me decorate this guy. So like that, let me formatting, right? So see, this is our main menu, it is admin menu, and inside this admin sub menu, this two menu, right? So like user list and that roles. So this is fine. Once I save, and let me see it's how it look like. Now see, we have only that main menu, right? There is no sub menu. Why? Once I click, so that it will appearing, and once I click, so it is a toggle, right? So it is two-way actually working. So once I click and once I user list, so user list will be there, and also it will highlighted, and click that add role, also it will highlight it, right? So like that, we have to implement for that blocks one also, right? So let me create that blocks menu as well. So close that and go down here, that after that authorized section, because this is only for authorized admin, but that section I'm not adding any authorization section, because that is should be everyone can get access, right? Only the read access. So that's why I'll just create it, this guy. This is a simple, right? So what I'm trying to do, again, see, this is another blog menu, right? This is the main menu, and they have again the sub menu of that blog list, right? And also I just create additionally like author list, post list and all. But yeah, as of now we don't have that component, but yeah, we can create it as a dummy component over here for that understanding perspective, right? So what, let me run first and see in actions first. Let me run. Now see, we have blog menu and admin menu, right? And also we can change it our, you know, image, icons. But yeah, as of now we are good. So once I click that blog, now see, I'm able to see the blogs, and user can do anything of that blogs if it is logged in user. So if you want to edit, so in 13 update, it is updated. And also if you want to delete, so you want to delete. If I want to add, so menu and sub menu, menu and sub menu function, right? So sub menu, menu and sub menu functions over here, just create it. So now this is created new. And also if you want to view, go back, everything it will be doing. And once I go to that admin, now see, it is collapsed, it is expanded, right? This is perfectly fine, there is no issue. So that's way actually we can create a real world example with .NET Core, and using the .NET Core web API and Blazor web applications, right? And I'll show you one more things, right? Once I logged out, so see, I'm logged out. So once I logged out, I'm able to see only this section, not that admin section, right? And once I click the blogs, so only when blogs can read without login, blogs can read. But yeah, once I click that edit, they are not authorized. Go back to your list, delete. There is a no delete function, right? And then once I view can visible because it is not authenticated. We are not actually we allow actually anonymous user to get it that details, right? So like that actually you can just implement your own application, building your application, Blazor complete applications. So that's all for this session. And before closing this session, what I will do, I'll just push some this I'll just push this code in our GitHub link, so you can just refer and you can use it as a reference. So let me add. So see, this is my repository name in my GitHub link. So blog management system Blazor web API, and you can just use it. So push it. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Have a nice day, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.